Welcome to the Trading Lounge and the European FX crosses, and starting with the stock 50 here, looking for five waves to the upside, and everything's going reasonably well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 1, ABC for 2 we've been through, and 1 and 2 and 3, and across here for 4 and up for 5 for the third wave, so that's all good. The fourth wave I've always mentioned that is just a bit too small compared to wave 2 here, so that's always been a concern. I know I've said it each time, but I still need to sort of put that there. The other point too is that this wave 5 here, this little move here, it just seems too small, compared to wave 1 here. I mean, it just looks like one wave, doesn't it? Like when you look at this here, it just looks like wave, one wave up and back here. So, in some European markets, I mean, I could probably count it like this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and put this here, kind of thinking something like that. But in some cases, like the Netherlands, for instance, that this has come back down, to the old low here. So they've all got different sort of counts. It's a little bit hard to nail down. And the US market, I feel that they've got further to move up, especially the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 up to filling a gap at 2035 is still on the cards as well. So yeah, look, we're still sort of obviously we're still in this uptrend. We're looking for a top. Things are not looking quite right here for a top because wave 4 is small and this wave here is too small for this wave 5 here. So just being logical about it, I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest a downside move just yet. So I think that we need to look something like this here before we see that roll over from here. So unfortunately, I thought it would have moved a bit quicker by now. I mean, last night's session or this session has been quite slow here, and looking at say the French market, the CAC here, it's the same thing here as well. I mean, obviously this is pulled down. In fact, it looks like we've got 5 waves here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't it? So back up for 3 and fail here again. I mean, but do we put this here on top as wave 5? It just seems so small, doesn't it, compared to wave 1? Because normally if the extension's in wave 3, then wave 1 and wave 5 will be roughly the same. I know it's in a last leg to the upside, so that makes it a little bit sort of difficult as such as well. Looking at the DAX as well. We were talking about this yesterday. It's quite, same thing again here as well. We've got this wave 1 here, a nice 5 waves, nice structure, isn't it? But it doesn't, in this case, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in this case, it's sort of there, but this one still bothers me. Oh, no, I suppose it gives me 5 waves here. Yeah, I suppose it does. So it's possible for a top for B in here. We've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, then an A and a B and a C back up into the 50-60% retracement level. So in this instance here, it can work lower from here, but as I've probably pointed out before, it's probably not a really good idea to be bearish until we're under that under the 10,000 here. And the other thing too is that there is plenty of time for all this as well. I mean, obviously everybody's got different agendas, but if that is wave 1 here, then wave 2 to here, then we'll get wave 3 to here. So even once we get this third wave to here, that's still an ABC correction, isn't it? We'd still have to get 4 and 5 here, and then we'd still pick up the ABC here. So if we do get a clean 5 waves here, then we'll know we'll get another 5 over here, So then we're sort of on our way at that stage. So yeah, so look, it's possible for the DAX to have that in play there. The AEX, okay, on the daily chart here, this is sort of the current local preferred count, in that all of this move down through here is just the A wave here. Okay, so we're looking for an A and a B and a C wave here for wave B. I also understand too that this can be wave 4 here, and then we get wave 5 coming down here. It doesn't make a lot of difference. It's at the end of the day, it's the same count, but the main point here is to view all of this here as wave A, and then we'll work wave B and wave C down through here. So we're still in a big correction from this point here. The only mistake that could be made, and it's sort of worth mentioning, is that this 5 waves off the low here, and this goes through all the other markets too, like this we do have 5 waves here, so it's sort of possible to get an A, B, C here and count this as up for wave 1 here and back for wave 2, then wave 3, 4 and 5 moving up there. So that's on the cards too, but it's not the preferred count when we look at other markets. But it's just something that we'll need to navigate when this does come down through here. I mean, I'm always, I've probably got a lot of counts all the time, but I think it's just important to work through all of these things. So on this market here as well, I'm not sure where we sort of at here with this, just bear with me a little bit. So on this count here, it's the same thing. I've got it as wave 4 here, and and this is possible as well here. But once again, in this instance here, even though we may have 5 waves down from the top here, the wave 5 here is just seems too small for the compared to this one, wave 1 here as well. So in this case, I've labelled this wave 4 here, pulling back into this sort of space here, and I just want to see what happens at this juncture here. I mean, if this just continues to dance here, then we'll see that push up into this sort of space here. Now, look, it's just a bit of a waiting game. A top could certainly be in play here, don't get me wrong, but I would want to see some evidence on other markets as well. And there's no reason why a smaller market can't lead the way as well. I mean, we see that in Australia all the time. We've seen the Australian dollar lead the S&P 500. So it's not a biggie, but yeah. The FTSE's in the same sort of boat as well. In this case here, I've always sort of viewed this as a slightly different count to the other markets, with wave 1 and ABC for 2, much the same. And all of this here up for the 3rd wave here, and the 4th wave pulling back to the 4th wave of 1 lesser degree here. So like I mentioned before, if I was going to turn bearish here, I want to see this space in here become the retested resistance in here. That's before we turn bearish on this. And I know the 65 is a medium level, and the market will struggle there, but I think that we have to give the trend a bit of a chance to the upside here, until we see a failure here. I mean, we don't have 5 waves down here just yet. This is still 3 waves. So, I mean, I can see the market's getting tired too because of all of this here. It's been quite sort of strong, and then it's really struggling from here, isn't it? But I just want to see if it's got one more sort of push in it, and this push here should be on lower volume. So let's see. It's more of like an exhaustion thing. So, I mean, it can be on really high volume and not move very far either. That's also exhaustion, or just lower volume while that's moving up through there. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Yes, well, that's really about it as such. So we're looking for a top, but I'm just a bit sort of wary if it's in place as yet, because I can see the Nasdaq's got higher to go, and the S&P 500 can move higher as well, which will take the DAX higher and the rest of them higher. The FTSE can do its own thing, of course, but counting all the little waves here, I reckon that there's still further to go to the upside. So if I take wave 2 and top of wave 3 here, the 38.2 retracement level comes in at 6.3 there. So before I turn bearish, I'll definitely need to see that as the resistance here, or see, the other thing we could do is actually see from this high here a very clean 5-wave structure down to this point here, because if it was 5 waves down to this point, then we'd get 3 back up, and then we'd get another 5 down roughly the same length. So, I know that it would be breached at that point. So that's something that we could sort of hone in on, so to speak. See, this is the move here. So currently it's down at 1, 2, 3 basically, isn't it? So I'd have to see this as a 5-wave structure down to that 6.3 here. Then that would be helpful in determining this as a 5-wave structure here. Then there'll obviously be the counter trend here, and we can look to short it from that point if that's the case. But if it's only going to give us like 3 waves down to somewhere down here somewhere, then we know that we've still got one more push up in 5 waves from wherever that comes from there. Let me just check this as well here. I mean, it can push up from here too, as up for 1, ABC, back for 2 into this space here, and just work higher straight from here, which is probably likely as well. Something like that. Anyway, it's not clear yet. There's too many options. We can't say that we have a turn in the market. We can't say that we have an impulse wave down from the top in any of these markets as yet. Okay? All right. Cheers.